Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. You could win groceries for a year if the kickoff is returned for a touchdown in today's game, thanks to Safeway Sobeys' $1 million touchdown to win promotion. Let's send it over to the gentleman calling the game, Rod Smith, Dwayne Ford.
Thank you, Kate. What a beautiful night here in the nation's capital for opening night. The Red Blacks beginning a new season against the team that knocked them out of the playoffs here last November. And here come the Saskatchewan Roughriders back looking to spoil the party again, led by Chris Jones.
For the Ottawa Red Blacks, it all begins with their quarterback, Trevor Harris. The team got a little bit of a scare in the preseason as he went down with injury. He says he is good to go tonight, wouldn't miss this for the world. Well, he's going to need that knee to be in good shape tonight because no doubt Charleston, Hughes, and company will be in chase mode all evening long.
Good pickup for Chris Jones now in his third season as coach and GM. Great strides in 2017. They won the playoff game here, and they lost to the Argos in the East Final after going 10-8. Rick Campbell, the only coach the Red Blacks have ever had, entering his fifth season, of course. The shining moment coming 2 years ago, winning the Grey Cup in Toronto against the Calgary Stampeders. New season for one of these teams choosing to take the ball after the Red Blacks won the toss. And coming down with it, Luchez Purifoy back in the receiving end. He was there with Deontay Spencer. Not used to seeing Purifoy returning kicks, and has a good return here up to the 38 for Trevor Harris in that offense to go to work.
As mentioned, Trevor Harris, that knee injury out of the gate. Didn't necessarily sound like he was 100% coming into this, the Red Blacks season opener, but he says he's good enough to go. He's going to need to get the ball out of his hands quickly. Stay away from the likes of edges.
Oh, that defensive front for Saskatchewan got a lot of pressure, and Ricky Ray and the Argos last week. 3 sacks in the first half, led by Charleston Hughes. They hand off to William Powell, going nowhere. Mac Henry's in there, and there's a gathering. And Zach Evans, the ex-Red Black, his first game against his old team with the tackle.
And we'll take a moment to take a look at this Ottawa offense. Deontay Spencer, fantastic last year. Mr. All-Purpose, over 900 of his yards coming in the passing game. Along that offensive line, first-round picks all around. Mark Corte makes his first career CFL start at left guard, the 4th overall pick in the 2018 draft.
Loss of 3 by William Powell, so definite passing situation here. Looking to get it away quickly is Harris, and he does. And on the receiving end of that is Brad Sinopoli, and that's for a first down, so a big conversion on this first possession for the Ottawa Red Blacks.
Brad Sinopoli, Mr. Dependability in that receiving core. Former quarterback, thinks like a quarterback, knows exactly where Trevor Harris needed him to be in that second and long situation.
And early movement, Willie Jefferson blaming Sir Vincent Rogers there, but the flags come down. Sinopoli, 3 straight 1,000-yard receiving seasons since coming over to Ottawa, as did Greg Ellingson, and that's despite missing the latter part of the season.
Saskatchewan, number 7, 5-yard penalty. It remains first down.
Willie Jefferson pointing fingers, but it points right back at him, and a 1st and 5 now for Ottawa.
That's going to be a fun matchup to watch tonight, these defensive ends against Sir Vincent Rogers at that left tackle spot.
Slot back stopping in the waggle. Ellingson wide side, handing off in that 1st and 5, and a good gain this time for Powell, who gets up around the 50, and it looks like another first down for Ottawa. It'll be very close to it.
We'll take a look at that Sask D. We've talked lots about the ends, but let's not forget about the guys on the inside. Zach Evans, a guy who really carved out a niche for himself here in Ottawa, goes back home to Regina. Sam McGuavin, terrific at the weak side linebacker spot. And of course, the secret's out. Duron Carter, one of the league's top receivers, is playing defense tonight.
They didn't need much, and they got what they needed, about 6 to 8 inches, so they do indeed move the chains again. So another first down in this drive for Trevor Harris and the Red Blacks. Their first game of the season. Saskatchewan 1-0 after a big win to open up at home against the Toronto Argonauts last Friday night. Harris rolling out to the right, and a low throw. It falls incomplete.
We'll take a look back a couple of weeks to the Ottawa Red Blacks preseason opener against Montreal. Trevor Harris got that left leg tangled up as he was tackled by Alouettes linebacker Chris Aki. Very slow to get up, obviously leaving the field gingerly. Fortunately, the word came quickly. Not quite as serious as initially thought.
2nd and 10. Harris wide open is Ellingson. Off on the far side of the field, takes a hit out of bounds at the 30, and the chains move again. This is an impressive start for Harris in that REDBLACKS offense.
And you're just going to see Greg Ellingson as Deron Carter drops off. Ellingson given lots of room to work out in that flat. See the slot. Rhymes pushes deep. 2 defenders go with him. Clears things out for Ellingson underneath for the first down.
Another 1,000-yard receiving last year. 14:59 under pressure, getting it away. They were 3 for 3 on 2nd down conversion so far in this drive. Harris moving along and getting Sinopoli again for another good gain on 1st down.
And you heard Henry Burris allude to some of the things that Ottawa's going to want to do to manage the Saskatchewan pass rush, whether it has to do with their sets, widening the edges and so on. A couple things I like so far: getting the ball out quickly, running the football to create play action opportunities, and mixing up snap counts. Some things that are going to slow down that rush a little bit.
Another short yardage conversion for the REDBLACKS. They've got it down, a 1st down marked off by Andre Prue there. So Dominic Davis, who got some time when Harris got hurt, and is working right now. And Davis hands off to William Powell. He got significant playing time in that first preseason game against the Alouettes here 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, Davis had a nice preseason for Ottawa, certainly relieving a little bit of the worry about Trevor Harris's health. You know, kind of interesting to see Ottawa in that situation after going with their short yardage set to go tempo right away, keep the same group on the field, limit Saskatchewan's opportunity to substitute after that, leaving Davis on.
Ball's at the 19 of Saskatchewan. First possession of this game, and the REDBLACKS are threatening. Harris on 1st down look to be caught, and then it's coughed up immediately. That's a new receiver, Noel Thomas Jr., but an incomplete pass, and now 3rd down.
Oh, new receiver and the veteran Javon Johnson giving him his welcome to the CFL moment. Coming downhill from his wide side corner position to deliver the hit, separating the receiver from the ball.
So on comes Lewis Ward now, who spent his college career just a few blocks away at Ottawa U. He was 4 for 4 in that one preseason game against Montreal. They go with Ward, and he pumps it through. First possession, and the first points on the board right away as the REDBLACKS drive down on the Ward field goal. We'll see what Zach Collaros can do in his 2nd game since joining the green and white here on Thursday Night Football on TSN, live from the nation's capital. Thursday Night Football on TSN is presented by The Brick, saving you more. Ottawa getting set to kick off after an 11-play drive capped off by a 26-yard field goal for Lewis Ward. So fan on the left, a little more to cheer about than the fan on the right. Ryderville, hey, Kate said it best. These fans, they travel so well everywhere. You'll see green and white. A lot of it, of course, in the heart of it at Mosaic last week. But yeah, see what I mean? Here in the nation's capital. Rider fans everywhere. Team down by 3. Richie Leone, another newcomer, back in the CFL with the kickoff, getting it down to Christian Jones. And Jones gets up across the 25 to the 27. And Zach Collaros had a good week last week when he went 18 for 25 for 203 and a touchdown pass.
Yeah, you don't have to be a Rider fan. You just need to be a CFL fan to recognize that it's a good thing to see Zach Collaros get things back on the rails. A tough year, obviously, in 2017, but off to a great start in green and white.
Now, he would deny it, but on the replay of that pass to Roosevelt last week, looked like a little something more in that fist bump. Getting the 2 tons off his back, getting another win, his first one in a couple of seasons after a long losing streak. And handing off to big Jerome Messam. Driving like a bus over the 30, gets up a few yards, and a second down for Saskatchewan.
And we'll flash back to last week, the performance of Zach Collaros.
The first 4 times he dropped back, Dwayne, he was sacked twice and he was incomplete. So you could tell there was still maybe something there to overcome. And you could just feel the confidence he was getting with each possession after that, and ends up with the win. Looks strong. Second down after the Messam carry, under pressure, and he is taken down there. It's Michael Wakefield inside for the REDBLACKS, and just like that, 2 and out for the Roughriders.
Well, big changes as well on that REDBLACKS defensive line from a year ago. Mike Wakefield gets the start at defensive tackle, where Jake Serezna was the regular a year ago. Keep an eye on 96 to the left side of your screen. Great use of the hands to get inside and work his way to the quarterback.
Wakefield in his second year got in 6 games last year at a Florida International as Josh Bartell stands at his 10. He of the end-over-end punt. Always fascinated to watch the way he does it. With Deontay Spencer in a short punt, charging in for it. Takes a bounce back towards Saskatchewan's way, and they'll get the no-yards flag up near midfield. So a good field once again for Harris in that offense to come back with. After a big play by Wakefield, taking down Collaros in their first possession. Ottawa with the ball and a 3-0 lead on Thursday Night Football. Friday Night Football continues tomorrow with the first game of a doubleheader as the Blue Bombers take on the Alouettes. The action getting underway at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, right across the TSN network and in beautiful 4K. Last Thursday night, there was a little bit of lightning, my friend, wasn't it? Beautiful night tonight in Ottawa. Across midfield for the REDBLACKS to start. William Powell on the run, and a good gain on first down. Gets it inside the 40, so the chains move again.
Well, we'll take a look at the work of this young REDBLACKS offensive line. We mentioned Mark Corte at left guard. You've got Evan Johnson, last year's first rounder out of the University of Saskatchewan, making the start at right tackle. Started about a half dozen games at guard last year. He's in for Jason Lauzon-Seguin. Nice job pinning things down on that play.
And a gain of 16 for William Powell. And handing off again, why not? See if he can get some more. Grinds his way through inside the 30, and Ottawa is in business again. Back in scoring position now and leading at 3-0. And yeah, pretty good gain on first down, just a little over 5 yards.
Well, again, 2 things you talk about in terms of managing the opponent's pass rush with your offensive strategy and production. Good job on first down, stay out of second and long situations, and just keeping them honest with that running game. William Powell, so important tonight.
Yeah, more than 5, more like 7 and a second and 3 here, and passing on the second and short, and completing it, another first down, and more for Deontay Spencer, who's taken out of bounds inside the 20. Red zone time for the REDBLACKS.
And I like the look here from Ottawa. You're going to see William Powell leave the backfield. He's going to go deep. That pulls a defender out, clearing space exactly in that window into which Deontay Spencer is running. Allow the speedster to use that speed on the crossing route coming across the field, not just going deep over the top.
Up at the 16, first down. Powell, this time he is met. Mac Henry's in there, Willie Jefferson too. So not much doing on that first down for the REDBLACKS.
It's going to be interesting to me to see tonight, given some limited mobility for Trevor Harris. There's an opportunity here to pull the football, but you keep an eye on the end. Willie Jefferson, he's not necessarily going to honor that a whole lot tonight. He kept his contained position that time until he saw the ball handed off. But we'll see if Trevor Harris actually does pull the ball to try and keep those guys honest tonight, or if he's going to be more committed to handing it off.
Back in the red zone for the second straight time. Looking end zone, but no. Wanted Spencer. Good coverage there by Cresden Butler as that sails out of bounds. So once again, a field goal situation for Ottawa, looking to double their lead and make it 6 with Lewis Ward to come out and try once again another short one.
Couple of nice drives for Ottawa out of the gate, moving the football. Very productive. Obviously, you want to see Lewis Ward on there kicking extra points rather than field goals, though, after drives like this.
First one was 26. This one's shorter than that, at 23 yards away and up and through. For a guy that had 5 years with the Ottawa GGs, staying in Ottawa with the Red Blacks, and a nice debut so far. 2 possessions, 2 field goals, a 6-0 lead. Jerome Messam, and that Saskatchewan offense due back here on Thursday Night Football from the nation's capital. The CFL on TSN is brought to you by the Nissan Titan, official vehicle of the Canadian Football League. Week 2 of the Canadian Football League beginning tonight on Thursday Night Football. Ottawa Red Blacks season debut against the Riders, and they're leading at 6-0. Zach Collaros went 2 and out. Took a sack last time around, up at his 35 now. Looking to throw right away. Has the protection, but throws it to no one. The closest receiver was Naaman Roosevelt. That falls incomplete.
Ottawa lined up with that 5-man front to cover up everybody at the line. As we take a look at the Saskatchewan offense, maybe a little more pressure on Naaman Roosevelt tonight with Deron Carter over on the other side. We also mentioned the release of Bakari Grant. That's 2 of 3 1,000-yard receivers gone on that offensive line. Keep an eye on the newcomer, Taron Vaughn, who won that left tackle spot coming out of training camp.
Last year was Derek Dennis to start. He moved inside. It was Bruce Campbell, so that's one of the changes on the O-line. Right guard a change as well for Saskatchewan. Second down. Collaros more time this time, but good coverage again. And that was Joshua Stanford. That was the intended receiver, but good coverage again by the Red Blacks.
Good start defensively. You saw on first down a hit taken by Zach Collaros. As I mentioned, Ottawa lined up with 5 guys on that defensive line, covering up each of the offensive linemen, ensuring there'd be no double teams, just one-on-ones across the board.
There was frustration in the first 2 possessions last week against the Argos before that offense got going, and they've certainly had it here. 2 possessions, and the bare minimum of plays here at 2 and out. Bartel from his 25. Spencer chasing it and watching it as out it heads. So the Ottawa Red Blacks beginning their season here in the first quarter. Little party at TD Place getting started. The home team's up by 6. Beautiful night here in Ottawa. The Redbacks lead, and it's great to welcome Brody Lawson back to Thursday Night Football. Brody.
Thank you so much, guys. All right, we are hanging in the end zone here at the Log Cabin, and Plaid has become synonymous with Red Blacks football because of the Lumberjoes vibe, the Lumberjack vibe. So here we've got some people wearing plaid. We've got someone in the background here while else is getting dressed up to go party. Maybe they're hanging with their friends. We've got a different variety of the plaid. It's just part of the uniform here, right, guys?
It's the uniform. It's what you wear.
It's what you wear, guys. All right, back to you.
Thank you, Brody. Was not going to wear my plaid suit tonight because I'd be accused of bias. But otherwise, maybe when we're out west, we should break them out. I don't know. It certainly works here for the red and the black. Those colors, of course, going way back in Ottawa football history with the old Roughriders, but a nice way to bring in something new and still tie it to football history and tradition here in the nation's capital. Swinging out a little pass intended there for Dominic Rhymes, and not close enough to those fingertips as the first down falls incomplete. Got the fatheads out too, and a little bit bigger when you got to incorporate the beard that John got, right? Half of that fathead is beard. Just the other half's hair. Second down. Looking over to the boundary and finding Sinopoli for his 3rd catch of the night. Not enough for a first down, about a yard short. Maybe 2.
Given the field position, there will be no gambling as the punt team with Richie Leone makes its way onto the field. Somewhat unique situation to see a team using an American kicker, but only as their punter. You know, to use one of those designated international spots on a guy who isn't necessarily going to do all three jobs for you in the kicking game.
Leone with the BC Lions 2 years ago was the best punter in the Canadian Football League. 15-yard, no yards there. Christian Jones caught it in the air inside his 35. But you're right, Leone, that's high praise for a punter to bring an international in only to do the punting.
No yards. Ottawa, number 24. First down.
Make your getaway with intelligent all-wheel drive in the 2018 Nissan Qashqai.
So a good break for the Riders there in the no yards, bringing the ball up to their 47. And it's Ottawa, and this was before their last possession, by the way. 86 net yards, Saskatchewan -3. Here we are, 3 minutes to go until quarter time. -3 total yards for that Saskatchewan offense. Possession 3, still not a first down in this game for the Riders. Taking the handoff to Messam, rolling it to the right, completing it to the fullback Spencer Moore, and there's your first down, but he does cough up the football, and Ottawa does have it. So the biggest play offensively for the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Yeah, we'll wait to see what the call is on the field, as that'll determine whether there's an automatic review. Great job on the play action. That boot back to the fullback. He becomes a forgotten guy as he blocks before he releases.
Definitely down.
Yeah, this should stay Saskatchewan ball.
First down, Saskatchewan.
Rod, you mentioned the slow start for Saskatchewan compared to Ottawa coming out of the gate pretty well. Number of factors playing into Ottawa's favor. Number one, they're coming off a bye. Saskatchewan's on a short week. Home game versus the travel team. And of course, you know, lack of film for Saskatchewan to prepare for Ottawa coming out of the preseason.
Good points too now, and first down, and it is Messam this time, and met by a bunch, but still is able to grind out a few yards, and a second and long for Collaros. That was a gain of 18 by Spencer Moore on that play action pass before coughing it up, and you could clearly see that he was already down. And Saskatchewan furthest along in this game by far, about the 42-yard line of the REDBLACKS on a second down. Said before, it took Collaros a couple of possessions before he started warm-up. 4 receivers to the wide side, throwing to one of them at Stanford, and there's another completed pass for Collaros. Stanford, and another first down. So here come the Riders. The offense has woken up, and they're down near the Ottawa 30.
Yeah, Zach Collaros knows the heat's coming. He stands in and delivers. And Joshua Stanford, third-year man. Split his college career between Kansas and Virginia Tech. Young Canadian receiver steps up and makes the play.
Spotted at the 32. Barely a minute left until quarter time. Taking that handoff to Messam again. Pressure's coming, gets it away. Caleb Hawley wide open, but they just closed. And Lucius Purifoy is there, and that was so close. Between another big connection between Collaros and Hawley, like they had last week against the Argos.
Now you're going to see pressure coming from Avery Ellis on the outside, second-year defensive end out of Temple, and he's going to make all the difference here. Delivering the hit just as Collaros throws the ball, that causes it to flutter and hang up, which gives Lucius Purifoy time to react and get over there, and he'd love to have another shot at that one because he might have the pick.
Another newcomer to this Ottawa defense, Purifoy, of course, was an excellent player with the BC Lions the last couple of seasons. Collaros trying again. Over the middle, Jordan Williams-Lambert. Touchdown, Saskatchewan.
Hey! Let's go, boys! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go!
32 yards, Zach Collaros to Jordan Williams-Lambert. They were a little delayed in marking the touchdown.
Well, and a lot of eyebrows were raised at the end of training camp when 1,000-yard receiver Bakari Grant was released by the Saskatchewan Roughriders, but I think we all may have just caught a little bit of a glimpse of just what made him expendable.
They said the way he came down at the goal line, and just a bit of a hesitation before they put the arms up. Touchdown Saskatchewan, 5 plays, 62 yards in 2 minutes 37 seconds. Brett Lowther, another great kicking story, getting his chance after 5 years of trying, and finally got back into the CFL last week. Of course, Tyler Crapina, their regular kicker, injured and out for the season, so it's Lowther's job now, and the conversion coming after this, Dwayne.
Yeah, and we'll keep an eye on Jordan Williams-Lambert. Big target, 6'4", 6'5", 230 pounds. Goes up top and gets that one from Zach Collaros. As you see, the Riders, much like a week ago, starting to settle in after their first few series.
Exactly the same pattern. Williams-Lambert, in his first year from Ball State, he was with New Orleans Saints last year. 3 catches, 23 yards last week. He's already passed that on 1 big catch for a touchdown, a 32-yarder. And now all of a sudden, Saskatchewan waking up, and with just a few ticks on the clock until the end of the first quarter, it is the green and white leading the REDBLACKS. Deontay Spencer can do it all. A great combined yardage year last year of over 2,700 yards, nearly 1,000 receiving, but he's a dangerous kick returner. But there's Purifoy. Made a great defensive play earlier and getting his second kick return of this game. Cameron Judge is there to meet him around the Ottawa 32.
Well, Trevor Harris gets ready to roll, looking for a quick answer to the Riders' first touchdown of this game.
And as I recall, it was around this time when Saskatchewan's defense, taking a cue from the offense, started to rise up and get more pressure last week on Ricky Ray. So far, Ottawa's done very well against that D. See what happens here. If you look down to the bottom of the screen, to the boundary corner, Ron Carter. Harris looks that way. It's knocked out nicely by Ed Gainey, intended there for Dominic Rhymes. Second down. Interesting quarter of football here in the nation's capital. Thursday night, opening night for the REDBLACKS, who took an early lead, but back came Saskatchewan on that last possession. The touchdown to Williams-Lambert and a 7-6 lead. 1-point game. Back with more from Ottawa. Through 1 quarter in Ottawa. Here's a look at the stats with Saskatchewan now leading the REDBLACKS by 1. You look at the net yardage, Dwayne, for the Riders. You think that's not too bad, but consider before that final drive it was -3. It looks like the offense is finally figuring things out.
Yeah, and we knew that that was going to be a challenge for them coming into this game. I mean, we mentioned the potential for a slow start with travel, having a short week and so on, Ottawa coming off the bye week. But one of the big things just has to do with that game film and preparation, particularly for Saskatchewan's offense. Ottawa comes into this game. It's the first regular season game for new defensive coordinator Noel Thorpe, and it's a completely different look on D for them. A number of new faces over there. You talk about guys like Rico Murray, Luchez Purifoy, Josh Johnson. Combine them with a guy like Antoine Pruneau. You can move those guys around as sort of interchangeable parts. For Saskatchewan, it's tough to know when Ottawa doesn't show that stuff in the preseason exactly what you're going to get at the start of the game.
And Ottawa's offense has been doing well. Not much pressure. A little bit more there with a flag down and good coverage too in the attempted ball there to Deontay Spencer. And Crescent Butler in on the coverage, but wondering, you know, we haven't seen the kind of pressure on Trevor Harris that we might have expected from Chris Jones' defense.
Offside. Saskatchewan, number 7, 5-yard penalty, still second down.
Second offside penalty for Willie Jefferson in this ball game.
Yeah, I'm not sure in that instance if it had anything to do with the cadence, but certainly the first one. Nice job done by Harris and the Ottawa offense of changing up snap counts so that the D-line can't get in a rhythm.
3-man front, only 3 rush. And tossing it out, wide side for Spencer again with Butler on him. And that that's it. So the defense does respond after their offense drove down and scored. And it's a punting situation now for Richie Leone.
Preston Butler doing a nice job in back-to-back snaps in that matchup with the crafty Deontay Spencer.
Former punter for the BC Lions in the NFL last year to try it with Arizona. Richie Leone standing back at his 25 in the first punt, and it's not a great one. Taken there on the hop by Christian Jones, and once again, second punt, because the same result with a 15-yard no yards penalty on that shorter punt by Leone. Friday night football. It continues tomorrow with the first game of a doubleheader. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who lost the Lightning Bowl last week at home against Edmonton, take on the Alouettes, who lost a day later against the Lions at BC Place. Action getting underway at 7 Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, right across the TSN network and in 4K. Chris Strebler, starting quarterback for Winnipeg, and threw 3 touchdown passes in that game that they had until Mike Riley did what Mike Riley does right at the end, as Edmonton spoiled the home opener for the Bombers in Montreal tomorrow night on Friday Night Football. So after the touchdown drive, Collaros. Wide side, picked up! Jonathan Rose! Touchdown, REDBLACKS!
Well, we mentioned all the new faces in that Ottawa secondary. Jonathan Rose says, don't forget about the old guys. Third-year man, third year with the REDBLACKS. And just a reminder of just how long a throw that wide side out can be. That one intended for the newcomer, Shaq Evans.
Jonathan Rose, his third year out of Nebraska, 2 picks last year, but none bigger than his first in 2018, which has put Ottawa back in the lead. As Harris is in there, they go for 2. Looking off to the far side to Greg Ellingson, and they do indeed put 2 more on the board and increase their lead to 7. How's that for an answer for the REDBLACKS? Just as Collaros and that Rider offense had been moving, it moves back the other way in a big hurry thanks to that guy. A beautiful Rose for Ottawa. In the end zone they go. 3 by 7, Thursday Night Football.
I see you hard.
Jonathan Rose, right at midfield. He did kind of rip the heart out of the Riders on that one play as they took the lead back with an interception.
Man, it feels too good. I got to get another too.
Waltzed right in with a 2-point conversion, a 14-7 lead, and that man getting ready to go back to work, Zach Collaros. Both of them getting ready to go back to work, of course. Brief rest on the sideline for Rose. He'll be back out. Christian Jones at his 10. Straight ahead. And a good return up to about the 37-38 of the Riders.
Now, I'm hoping that our receiver and quarterbacks on the panel will talk about this one a little more at halftime. But I'll tell you, the thing I'd like to see a little more here out of the receiver, Shaq Evans, is to drive upfield more rather than kind of rounding this one off. Because the thing you'll notice is that with the defender, Jonathan Rose, he never has to backpedal at all. He's just sitting, waiting. His only movement on this play is to come forward and come underneath that one because of the way the route is run. And I think if the receiver can sell that a little more with his drive off the line of scrimmage, you're going to force him into a backpedal, which is going to buy you an extra split second to make that throw.
Trey Mason in the ball game, former star at Auburn, with about 35 yards rushing last week against the Argos, and 7 carries. Also had a fumble, but picks up a few yards there as we look to see how Collaros and the Riders offense responds. At a similar point in the field, too, is where the interception was thrown.
Yeah, very important in a loud road stadium. Certainly for a quick response here from the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
2nd down and 5. Collaros with time and an open receiver, 2. It's Caleb
Now, I love the throw and catch, but even more, I love the job done by Trey Mason, a guy who's known as an explosive guy with the ball. Watch the job the running back, number 10, does here of stepping up into the gap to pick up the blitzing linebacker. Stands him up, buys just enough time for Zach Collaros to make that throw without having a blitzing man in his face. Collaros feels confident, even though he's got guys closing on him, he knows their block, and that allows him the confidence to step into that throw and deliver it to the open receiver, Hawley.
So far, Hawley's been Collaros' big play receiver. The big one last week helped set up a touchdown. He looks into the end zone, and there's a mix-up because the closest three are all wearing red and black as it falls incomplete.
Yeah, when you take a look at this, when you saw, Rod, as you mentioned, that cluster of black jerseys deep with the football, Naaman Roosevelt was open closer to the goal line around the sideline, that you certainly wonder a little bit, again, with the short preseason, limited reps together and so on, if everybody's still getting on the same page in terms of passing game here in week 2.
Second down, Mason out, Jerome Messam in. With time, looking for Roosevelt. So close to Naaman Roosevelt, and it's intercepted. Lucius Purifoy with it, trying to get out of his end zone, and wisely takes a seat after another big defensive play for the Ottawa REDBLACKS. So Collaros with his second interception. The first one ended up in his own end zone. This one ended up in Ottawa's, but REDBLACKS taking advantage. Coverage there by Tyndall and Roosevelt. Ottawa football. Well, after the Ottawa interception, Chris Jones has thrown his challenge flag, and it looks like obviously a good time to challenge, even though it's the first half, Dwayne, because Saskatchewan was pressing and a play in the end zone, and obviously looking for a pass interference call in Corey.
Yeah, you keep an eye on Tyndall not locating the ball as he runs into the receiver, Naaman Roosevelt. Now we'll see exactly when contact comes here, because I'm not convinced that the contact comes before the ball arrives.
On the first angle, I thought it had, but you know, you look at it again.
Yeah, it's tighter than initially thought.
And bounces off Tyndall's helmet.
He's running, though, arms extended into the receiver without locating the football.
On a previous play, Saskatchewan challenged defensive pass interference on their receiver number 82. After review by the command center, the ruling on the field stands. It's an interception by Ottawa. Ottawa will get the ball at the 25-yard line. Saskatchewan just lose a timeout.
So there you go. The ruling stands. Interception by Lucius Purifoy, and an opportunity for the Roughriders denied, and that comes shortly after the pick six by Jonathan Rose, hence the 7-point lead for the REDBLACKS with the football now.
And again, this one's going to go back to the timing where there wasn't contact on the receiver before the ball arrived.
Handing off on first down, and a green and white wall is there to greet William Powell. Nothing doing. Loss of a couple of yards.
You know, just going back to that interception, it was a beautiful route by Naaman Roosevelt. He was the guy I was watching right from the snap of the football. He had kind of a hook and go, got in behind the defenders. With a little more air on that football, we'd be talking about a touchdown rather than a turnover right now, but it was kind of a flat throw which allowed Tyndall to impact Naaman Roosevelt.
And this comes at a time that Ottawa's offense has been cooling off. Intercepted Riders. Look who it is. He's got 2 picks in his career, and they've both gone for touchdowns. How about Deron Carter? Last October, his first start on the corner, he intercepted Bo Levi Mitchell and took it 37 yards to the house. And now they finally see him get a ball thrown his way, and he intercepts it, and he takes it in. So we're looking at a tie ball game on pick sixes here.
Well, it's funny the way karma works. Very close call on the turnover the other way. Doesn't go in the Riders' favor, but in the end works out just fine. Deron Carter, as you said, he's been quiet up to this point. But 2 for 2 with the picks going for 6.
Looking for Deontay Spencer. Deron Carter picks it up. And it's a pretty incredible stat. Not that he has 2 career interceptions for a receiver moving over to the corner, but that both of them end up in touchdowns. Not too many can make that claim, I'm sure.
Well, I'll tell you, the other thing that stands out to me on that play is we joke all the time that a lot of smaller, fast guys get moved to defense because they can't catch. Well, you put Deron Carter over there and look at the tough catch he just made to get that pick.
Lowther with the whistle blowing just as the kick was about to go.
Love you, Grayson. Love you, Mom. Best player in the league. Yeah, how many fantasy points I get for that?
Illegal procedure, Saskatchewan. The guard on the right side move. We're going to go back 5 yards and retry to convert.
So 5 more yards back. You know, that's an important question. How many fantasy points? I've been trying to figure this fantasy thing out. Now, there is, and it wouldn't be the normal deal when Deron gets an offensive touchdown. So I don't know if it's as much for a pick 6. All I know is that it's the REDBLACKS defense that suffers. If you took Ottawa's defense in fantasy, you're hurting with that pick 6, even though you weren't even on the field. That's the way it works in fantasy. And Lowther 5 yards further away, giving those fans in green and white something more to cheer about, because it was a pick 6 that put Ottawa ahead by 7. It's a pick 6 by Deron Carter, another one that has us a tie ball game in the second quarter. Isn't it fitting on a night when so much offense is coming from the defense that that guy, 89, is involved? Let's go down to Matthew Shinetti. Matthew.
You know, Ron, when we were speaking to Deron Carter yesterday and also to the REDBLACKS' Greg Ellingson, we assumed that that was what the matchup was going to be. And then, of course, we spoke to Deontay Spencer before the game, and Spencer knew the matchup was going to be he versus Carter. And he told me, when I asked him what the tail of the tape was, he said, I got something for him. Come talk to me at the end of the game. Well, to describe their trash talking so far in this game as enthusiastic wouldn't be doing it justice. It's been vicious. And you saw the enthusiasm as Carter was going back to the bench. Of course, shades of what we all remember a few years ago when he had a play against the REDBLACKS going past their sidelines, Rock.
Absolutely. Bumping into the head coach, Rick Campbell, then Spencer on the receiving end of the kickoff and getting it up across the 35. But Deron Carter, when he plays defense, some big things have been known to happen. Although it's a small sample size, it's a good one.
You keep an eye on Deron Carter playing that boundary corner spot. Really just doing a nice job recognizing what's going on there for a guy, particularly for a guy who doesn't regularly play the position, practicing on a short week as well.
Harris looks the other way now to the wide side for Ellingson. Javon Johnson there, and just enough for a first down for Ottawa, up around the 45. What a game of momentum changes as well. Such a slow start for the Roughriders offensively. They look to wake up, and then Caleros gives up the interception for the touchdown to Jonathan Rose. And then Saskatchewan answers back. Trevor Harris throwing one, taken into the end zone by Deron Carter. Now at the top of the screen, the boundary corner, handing off on first down. No, faking the handoff. And throwing again, a nice play action fake there to Greg Ellingson. I only call it a nice fake because he fooled me. So it must have been good, right?
Well, they've done a nice job with play action. We know William Powell has been involved in this ball game early. Again, part of the design to keep that defensive line honest. By Trevor Harris, a little bit more time in the pocket. Well-delivered ball, terrific concentration by Greg Ellingson to secure that with contact coming.
17-yard gain for Ellingson, who's had a busy first half now in this tie football game. 8:33 to go until halftime. Throwing again. Saskatchewan 26.
I love the offensive creativity here. Try and widen that corner, pull the end out with that sprint look to create a little bit of room to get the ball to the running back. That kind of throwback screen.
Spot at the 27. Powell again, right side. Not as much. 2-3 yards. And a second down for Ottawa. They started, their first two possessions were good drives that led to field goals by Lewis Ward. And it took a while before Saskatchewan answered back.
And no secret that I am something of an aficionado of the run game. Don't like to see it neglected here in the Canadian Football League. And it's not always about the yardage you get, but about the effect that it has on the defense's mindset.
Passing here again. It's Brad Sinopoli inside the 20. That is close to first down yardage. See for the spot of the football. After this game, the Red Blacks got a couple of games against Calgary next week at McMahon, and then 2 weeks after that back here. Playing a lot of Western teams to start, just Montreal in the first 6 weeks, a team in the East. And for Saskatchewan, similar the other way, the Roughriders do not play a West Division team until week 7 against the Stampeders.
Yeah, well, so often we look forward to those divisional games down the stretch.
Dominic Davis in again. Short yardage quarterback on third down and has enough.
I see
the looks of things.
I see the Deontay Spencer-Duron Carter verbal battle that Matthew talked about continuing on near the sidelines as they were grill to grill.
I asked Chris Jones yesterday if he felt better this time around putting him on defense than he did a year ago, and he said definitely. More time in training camp to work on it. William Powell looking for the end zone and has it. And Ottawa is back on top.
Take a look at the work of William Powell and the Ottawa offensive line. See Mark Corte, left guard, doing a nice job on that, working the double team. They get to second level. Create a seam for William Powell to punch it in for the Red Blacks' second TD of the night.
7 plays, 77 yards in just under 4 minutes time. What a game we have here Thursday Night Football in Ottawa. Back and forth we go. The Red Blacks answer and leading by 6. They're going to go for 2, see if they can make it an 8-point lead. Work the last time. Wide open again. And 2 points. Greg Ellingson again.
Ottawa offensive line this time supplying good protection. Looked like just 3-man rush there from Saskatchewan. Ellingson gets in behind Cresden Butler. Well-placed ball from Harris for 2.
So now we're getting back to the offensive touchdowns. I sense a momentum swing in terms of unit after the defense was dominating the scoring. (22-14) now Ottawa, and a nice season debut and a beautiful night here in the nation's capital. A team that lost so many close games. Heard everybody back in the studio talking about this. A 1-6-1 start last year. The tie on opening night against the Calgary Stampeders here. They were 7-3 down the stretch, finishing at 8-9-1. Second in the East off the kickoff. And it was Christian Jones on the return with a flag coming down later as he approached the 25-yard line. Got some big news now concerning the Roughriders. Let's go to Matthew Shinetti.
Rod, just before we came back on the air and the Red Blacks went on that drive, Zach Collaros went into the locker room area with Roughriders training staff, and shortly thereafter it appears he was going through concussion protocol. Now looking to confirm with the Riders, but as you see, Brandon Bridge is now on the field. Rod.
Wow. I mean, hard to hear given everything that he has been through, but going through the protocol now with Brandon Bridge in the ball game.
And we've seen Zach Collaros take a few hits in the course of this ball game. We talked a lot about the Saskatchewan pressure, but Ottawa has provided a little of their own. You saw that shot. Looked like it came right up around his chin, lifting the helmet a little bit. We've seen him slow to get up a couple of times.
And Matthew now telling us that he'll be evaluated. Zach Collaros will be at halftime. So Brandon Bridge in as the starting quarterback. And last year, you may recall, I mean, Kevin Glenn was #1 for a while. Bridge did get his chance, though, several times off the bench and started a game as well. His best one coming off the bench against the Toronto Argonauts when he really sparked that Rider offense. That was back on October 7th. He was 20 for 28, 292 yards passing, and 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. It's Micah Tights, the first-year linebacker that's the injured player there for Saskatchewan. And did get a start last year, did Brandon Bridge for Kevin Glenn.
You know, as much concern as there is certainly this year and at this moment for Zach Collaros. You know, the Saskatchewan Roughriders are thrilled to have a guy like Brandon Bridge who can come off the bench. Really, I thought, proved himself last year. In his 3rd year in the Canadian Football League, got much more of an opportunity. I think earned the confidence of his coaching staff and his teammates.
Let's go back to Matthew.
Rod, well, I spoke to Brandon Bridge pregame. The fact is, it's hard not to say he was frustrated. He wants to go out and play because he was reminding me, of course, how he played last season, particularly against the Hamilton Tiger Cats. But he said, the key to me being ready is being patient, listening to the coaches, being a great teammate, always being prepared. And figuratively, here he is playing, guys.
And it hands off to Jerome Messam there. Bridge last year got into 12 games, completed 2/3 of his passes for 1,236 yards, 10 touchdown passes, and 4 interceptions. And some feel he should have been given even more of an opportunity, especially when there was a lot of pressure on the quarterback, his mobility, his ability to escape the rush.
Yeah, tremendous athlete. 6'5", 230 pounds, and he can run. Some would suggest he is at his best when he goes off script.
So short gain by Messam on first down. Bridge for his first pass, and there he escapes the pressure. He's on the run, and he will take off. He wants that first down. He reaches across, and it looks like he gets it just around the 20-yard line.
And Bridge, of course, the latest guy to spark the Canadian quarterback discussion, and a guy maybe unlike some of his predecessors who has really taken kind of a leadership role in trying to make something happen in terms of, I guess, creating some incentive in terms of CFL rosters for having a Canadian quarterback.
Got it right to the 20. First down, Bridge and the Riders. 22-14 Ottawa, 4:16 until halftime. Pass over the middle, and he wanted Shaq Evans, who got his hand on it, up near the Rider 50, but couldn't hang on. And second down.
You get a glimpse of the arm strength of Brandon Bridge as he put a little bit of heat on that one. You know, and Evans looked like maybe had he gone up with 2 hands here, he might have had a better shot at coming down with that football, Rod.
Shaq Evans starting at that boundary receiver spot that was Deron Carter's. Of course, not playing both ways. Once committed to going over and playing the defense. They made that change in the Rider offense. Evans in. Second down. Stepping up. Taking off. Bridge again. Using those feet, and another first down for the Roughriders. That's the dimension that Brandon Bridge gave them last year and so far in this drive.
Yeah, somewhat prototypical in terms of the dual threat he provides. as a quarterback. As you mentioned, 2 Rider first downs since he's come in, both of them achieved by his legs.
2 carries for 25 yards. There's another pass going back to Evans, who hangs on to this one up near the 45, so about an 8-yard gain. Second and short for the Riders now. Now being led, that offense, a native of Mississauga, Ontario, went to South Alabama, Brandon Bridge. Initially coming in to the CFL with the Montreal Alouettes. That one is knocked away. But Michael Wakefield got his mitts on it, had a sack earlier in this game, and bats away the ball from a tall quarterback in Brandon Bridge as we get under 3 minutes, 2:53 on the clock. Riders moving, down by 8, trying to get something more on the board at halftime.
Coming up at halftime, the boys are letting me be QB. We will take you through Jerron Carter's pick 6, and don't forget the Thursday night concert series. It is Elijah Wood's Jamie Fine, because loving you ain't easy. Come on!
Hey, partner, looks like there's the newest sheriff in town in the studio on Thursday nights, eh?
My faith is that you got the better singing voice, Rod.
Oh, don't say that, because they'll ask me to try.
I'm sure you'll prove it next week.
I can't compete with Burness. Certainly not in singing. Deanna Spencer this evening. Hey, Kate, great to have you in the studio, and don't take anything from those guys. I can just imagine now, they're used to a rather sedentary host, and now she's a fitness freak, and I know those guys, they like to work out a lot. I can just see them when there's a break in the action in the studio, you know, they'll probably bring equipment in there.
Yeah, you'll have to settle things back down. And
oh, yeah. Sit in the chair in order.
Bring a little bit of order.
On the return by Spencer, and an 8-point Red Blacks lead. 2.5 to go, and they've got the ball just inside the 30 for Trevor Harris. Taking it to William Powell again and finding a wide open Brad Sinopoli, who pushes that ball up to the 45 and a first down. Let's go back to Matthew.
As you guys can see, Zach Collaros is back on the sideline. Before the latest series, Collaros came out of the locker room, grabbed his helmet, and went right to Saskatchewan quarterback coach Steve Walsh, and also started talking to Brandon Bridge. Now, whether he gets back on the game, obviously, we'll see with just over 2 minutes to go left in the quarter. But at least it appears to be good news for Riders fans, guys.
Very good news indeed. Off to the left is William Powell. He's had a good half of running the football as he gets it across midfield inside the Rider 50.
Yeah, William Powell has had a good half running the football, which has allowed Trevor Harris to have a good half throwing the play action passes, as you saw in the previous play to Brad Sinopoli.
Trevor Harris, after the pick 6 by Jerron Carter, has completed 6 straight passes. And has first down now in Rider territory. This offense has been able to move the football against a very good defense. Still haven't seen the kind of pressure on Harris that we thought we might as he escapes that, and he's on the move. He's on the move, and the knee seems fine. It's Preston Butler escorting him out, but a gain of a couple of yards.
Yeah, the first real test, I'd say. Trevor Harris's knee passed with flying colors there as he got out on the move. You see him sporting that brace on his left knee for a little added support.
Took a hit from Chris Aki of the Alouettes in the first preseason game on just his 6th play from scrimmage. 6 plays, that's all he had in the preseason. Taking all the first reps in practice for a while and looks good in game action here. The pick 6 notwithstanding, and runs again. 2 straight running plays for Trevor Harris, and a first down Ottawa again.
And you wonder if he maybe needed that first run just to feel a little more confident himself in that recovering knee.
Maybe the sight of Brandon Bridge doing what he does so well, and Harris taking off and rolling out and throwing this time, and it goes incomplete. 1:37 on the clock here at TD Place. Big halftime coming up. Elijah Woods and Jamie Fine, the halftime performance here.
You weren't going to sing there? I was just leaving your room to sing.
No one wants me to sing. Not even you. After the game, maybe. Harris back. And he gets pressured now, but no. Zach Evans, his old teammate, couldn't get him. He eludes that and he throws it away, and so it will be third down. But as close as they've come to sacking Trevor Harris on this night, there he is. Big Zach Evans.
Yeah. An eye on Evans. And a guy who started his career as a Saskatchewan Roughrider. Joined them as a territorial exemption out of junior football. Who really got a chance to establish himself after he was selected by Ottawa in the expansion draft in 2014.
Here's Lewis Ward now from just inside the 45. The product of Ottawa U puts it through and gives Ottawa an 11-point lead now, up to 25-14 over the Riders with $1:24 to go. A good story for Ottawa so far is Lewis Ward, who had some great years with the Ottawa U GGs, leading scorer in the history of the school's football program, third all-time in Canadian university sports in scoring, and scoring there for the REDBLACKS. Brandon Bridge in the ball game for his second set of downs for the Riders. If you are just joining us, Zach Collaros will be undergoing a concussion protocol. He's back in the sidelines now and looks to be okay, but still will have that at the half. Collaros playing most of the way. Did throw a couple of interceptions, one a touchdown for Jonathan Rose of the REDBLACKS. On a night of big plays both ways. Taking the handoff is Bridge, completing it to Spencer Moore, his second catch of the night, and that one gets up over the Rider 40.
Yeah, Spencer Moore has become one of the longer-serving veterans on this team, sixth-year man out of McMaster. Neat story, a guy who was primarily a backup receiver and special teams player in college. But very well suited to play the fullback position, do the things the Riders want him to do here in Saskatchewan.
Third catch of the season, second of the night for Moore. Second down with less than 5, and there's a first down. Bridge, the Naaman Roosevelt, going in the short side there and get it up near the 50. So working their way closer to midfield, just under a minute on the clock until halftime.
Brandon Bridge doing a nice job getting that one out of his hands quickly.
Naaman Roosevelt's first catch of the night. Of course, he got the touchdown pass from Collaros last week against the Argos, and that one tipped at the line, I think. Corey Tyndall covering Roosevelt there, the intended receiver. Second down.
And you're going to see Brandon Bridge facing a little bit of heat. Here, Kevin Brown is the unblocked man coming from the top of the line. And Bridge recognized that. That's why the ball is out so quickly. The hot read is on. He's got to throw off of that unblocked guy. Essentially, in the blocking scheme, he is, so to speak, the quarterback's man. Meaning you got to get rid of the ball before he gets there.
47 seconds. Trying at least to work their way into field goal range and reduce it to an 8-point lead again before they head to the locker room. Standing at his 40. Wanted to launch it, and he gets taken down immediately. That is Avery Ellis with the sack of Brandon Bridge, and instead the Riders will have to punt it away.
And we saw Avery Ellis earlier get a little bit heated on Zach Collaros with the inside loop.
Ottawa.
And similar situation here, as you'll see Brandon Bridge just about to step up. But there comes Ellis. Appeared Brendan Labatt just missing a cut block. He recognized it, saw it, just didn't get enough of him to disrupt that rush. Ellis makes it home.
For all the talk about Chris Jones' defense and the pressure, albeit rushing, and sometimes just 3 defensive linemen, but with all that sack danger, it is Ottawa leading in the sack stat so far tonight with 2, Wakefield and then Ellis, and no sacks so far for the Roughriders, but we've seen a lot of that, them dropping back into coverage against Trevor Harris. Not as much pressure as we thought there might be in this game so far for Saskatchewan's defense. Deontay Spencer back to take the Josh Bartel punt. 43 seconds left, enough time. Harris Morris can work another drive together to add to this lead. We shall see. Spencer under it around his 27, 28-yard line. And the 2018 FIFA World Cup continues tomorrow with 3 group stage matches as Brazil goes up against Costa Rica, Nigeria takes on Iceland, and Serbia going head-to-head with Switzerland. Coverage beginning at 7 a.m. Eastern, 4 a.m. Pacific across the TSN network. I'm sorry, did I read your promo?
Well,
I hope I'm not breaking protocol here.
You'd have a little more credibility reading the soccer promos if you do the next one with a British accent.
Oh, okay. Heaven help us. First you want me to sing, now you want me to bring out. How about I sing with an English accent? Really turn people up. Ooh, we got a fumble. Off the shotgun snap as Harris just tries to get it away, and he does. How'd he complete that to Spencer? But it's lost yardage. Would have been better to fall incomplete. That pushes them back to a second and longer of another 4 or 5 yards back. Kind of amazing he was able to complete it to begin with.
Yeah, fortunate bounce allows him the time to get that one away. Of course, it is the receiver's instinct all the time to catch anything thrown in their direction rather than bat it down.
The loss is only 2. It's 2nd and 12. 25 seconds on the clock, but they're going to need something big here if they hope to add any points by halftime. And that's pretty big. Midfield. And another catch for Greg Ellingson. His 6th catch, and we're just in the first half.
You love the willingness of Greg Ellingson to go up and get that ball in traffic every time.
Working tempo here, on the move. Spencer's got it. And Spencer is down inside the Rider 50. 11 seconds on the clock. It would take about a 55-yard kick for Lewis Ward for a field goal here. Spotted at the 47. So just inside the 55 for a field goal if they can get a little bit closer. And the clock ticking now inside 10 seconds. Quick look over the middle. Has it. A little bit closer. Down and out of bounds is Ellingson again. His 7th catch of the night gets it to the 40. And this is definitely in the field goal range of rookie Lewis Ward, who already has a couple. 3 3-pointers on the night so far.
Ward, who completed his career as Ottawa U's all-time leading scorer.
The REDBLACKS had Brett Maher last year doing both, and a big loss when he went to the NFL on the Dallas Cowboys. So replacing Maher with Ward for the kicking, Leone with the punting, and that one is wide right. So misses his first one on the night, getting taken out by Jones. Christian Jones is finally taken down, and we have zeros on the clock. The first half is over, but what an eventful first half it has been, with momentum swings, with interceptions for touchdowns. The question of Zach Collaros will undergo protocol. Halftime entertainment is coming up here. Thursday Night Football in Ottawa. Back to Kate in the studio.
Red sky fading, let's do this right. What you drinking's what I'm drinking, who's got a light? We about to kick off this 9 to 5 from dusk till dawn. Man, it's on. CFL on TSN. Music's playing, yeah, we're swaying, crank it to 10. These stars are falling like confetti, so wish on one for the gone. 3rd and 1 from the gun underneath those Thursday night lights. Singing long live the night. It's a song coming on, won't let everyone know.
Long live the night. Second half beginning here in Thursday Night Football, and a good return on the move for the Riders, who come into this second half trailing by 11 points in just a crazy first half that saw a lot of things, including big defensive plays, interceptions for touchdowns, 1 per side. Christian Jones, also a receiver on this team, but predominantly a kick returner, and so In the game still is Brandon Bridge. Zach Collaros was to have concussion protocol after starting this game and leaving during the first half. Rod Smith, Wayne Ford, Matthew Shinetti down on the sidelines too. Brody Lawson here on a beautiful Thursday night in Ottawa. And a good performance overall so far by the Ottawa REDBLACKS. The one big blemish, Deron Carter intercepting Trevor Harris for a touchdown. It's Trey Mason with just his second carry of the night. Not much rushing for the Saskatchewan Roughriders in this game so far, Dwayne.
Yeah, that was part of our discussion off air at halftime. Surprising, the Roughriders handed the ball off only, 3 times in the first half of this football game. A couple carries for Jerome Messam, one for Trey Mason in the first half. Brandon Bridge with a couple of scrambles was the Riders' leading first half rusher. I'd like to see a steady dose of Jerome Messam to wear down the Ottawa defense a little bit.
Down by 11, 2nd and 6. For Brandon Bridge. Stands in, throws it. It is low. And so it'll be 3rd down. His intended receiver there is Caleb Hawley, but a short possession for the Riders in this one, and Trevor Harris and the REDBLACKS about to get that football back to start the second half.
Well, you have to continue to be impressed with the defensive performance of Noel Thorpe's revamped group. Doing a terrific job getting pressure on the Saskatchewan Roughriders. But again, Saskatchewan's got to avoid being predictable and relying too much on that passing game.
I wonder if they're going to change anything defensively and try to get more heat on Trevor Harris. They didn't get a ton in that first half, and a flag down outside the 20. That punt by Bartel goes straight out of bounds in the air. So better field position for the REDBLACKS to work with to start.
Questions coming into this game about the...
Out of bounds. Saskatchewan, number 13. 10-yard penalty enforced from where the ball went out. First down, Ottawa.
Questions coming in about the health of Trevor Harris's knee, but we saw a couple of runs by him late in that first half that I think probably give everybody associated with the REDBLACKS a little bit of confidence.
Knee seems fine, arm seems fine. After the pick 6 by Deron Carter, Harris is 10 for 12, 108 yards. And about to go to work here in the second half, and handing off to William Powell at a busy first half of 60 yards on 10 carries in that first half, and there's his 11th carry, and picks up 5 yards on that, 2nd down.
And I think you're right there is the contrast between the two football teams. Ottawa's running back has been very involved in the game plan. They've been productive in the run game, and it's allowed them to do some things in the passing game and manage the pressure from the Saskatchewan front.
One of those runs went 15 yards for a touchdown for William Powell, and an easy first down on that out. Deontay Spencer with Deron Carter in the coverage. Carter, one of the big plays in the half, but it's the REDBLACKS overall moving much better offensively than Saskatchewan is.
You have to wonder if there would be, as this game goes on, any temptation to flip Deron Carter back over to the offensive side. This is a guy who had 16 catches for 320 yards in 2 games against Ottawa last year.
Faking it, pulling it back. Harris finds one of the new REDBLACKS, J.C. Beaulieu, the former Montreal Alouette, who came over in a trade. Beaulieu gets it up on a good gain on first down, so it'll be 2nd down and about 3 yards away. Trade for Patrick Lavoie was one of the mainstays for a few years here in Ottawa. Reliable fullback who had a touchdown in the Grey Cup in 2016. Beaulieu now in motion, and the handoff goes to William Powell, and 2nd and short, but lost yardage on that play, so it'll be 3rd down and just shy of midfield for the REDBLACKS coming on to punt with Richie Leone.
A big stop there for the Rider defense. Saw Sam McGuavin among others in the middle of that play. We'll be looking to Richie Leone to really swing the field position here and try and pin the Riders deep.
In 2015 and 16, top punter in the CFL was Leone with the BC Lions and went away to the NFL last year. Back now with Ottawa, and a hard stick right there on Christian Jones on the return, and a short return it is up at the Saskatchewan 25. We're in in the second half. Early on, Brandon Bridge and company coming out for the Riders. Down by 11. Thursday Night Football presented by the Breck on TSN. Back in Ottawa, and Brandon Bridge back out with the offense for the Riders. An update on Zach Collaros now from Matthew Shinetti.
Well, Rod, Zach Collaros just came out of the Riders locker room, but he's not wearing his pads and he doesn't have his helmet. He has a baseball cap on and a hoodie. And it was made clear to me by the Roughriders at the start of the second half that Brandon Bridge will take over. Zach Collaros is done for the night, guys.
So after that very promising start last week, in his victory, first one in a long time after 12 straight losses, when they beat the Argos, 4 for 10 in the night, 106 yards. But the real damage done in terms of football play, with 2 interceptions, one taken back by Jonathan Rose for a touchdown. But obviously that pales compared to the health concerns and concussion protocol Dwayne he went through.
Yeah, Collaros taking a number of hits in the early going. You'll see one in particular which, you know, you'll see he takes it right in the chin and his helmet gets driven up a little bit right there. I wonder if that was the one that kind of did the damage. Keep our fingers crossed and hope that this is a case of the Riders acting with caution, obviously, this early in the season.
In the meantime, it's Brandon Bridge who completed that pass for a first down to Shaq Evans. But yeah, Collaros has been through a lot. And those years in Hamilton, well documented, everything up until 2015 when he was definitely one of the best players, arguably the MOP at that point in time when he went down with an ACL injury and missed about a year. And had a long stretch going back to 2016 with Hamilton last year in the first half of the season before he was replaced by Jeremiah Mazzoli, where he did not get a victory. Got one last week, but sidelined for the rest of this game tonight. Bridge. He got a lot of playing time last year in combination with Kevin Glenn. He completes another pass there to Caleb Hawley up over the Rider 45. Brandon Bridge is a quarterback, and we do tend to talk about he is a Canadian quarterback too, but he's there playing in the league in his own right, regardless of nationality. But does have that distinction, though, of being the first quarterback, Canadian quarterback, to throw a touchdown pass in a playoff game in the CFL. He did last year in the East Final since. This has a little more meaning in Ottawa. The legendary Ottawa Roughrider Russ Jackson back in 1969 in the Grey Cup before he retired. So Bridge, as you talked about, Dwayne, would love to see circumstances change to create more opportunity for Canadian quarterbacks in the CFL.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. In a nutshell, the way the roster breaks down, you have essentially 3 classifications. You've got your nationals, or your Canadians, your internationals, which are anybody who's not Canadian, but primarily Americans. And you've got quarterbacks, who are, for all intents and purposes, nationality neutral. And so there becomes no benefit ratio-wise to using one of your Canadian spots, so to speak, as a quarterback. You have to have your 7 Canadian starters, but if one of them is a quarterback, it doesn't count as one of your 7, and that's what Brandon Bridge would like to see change.
Well, that drive stalled, so Bartel punts, and picking it up there, Deontay Spencer up across his 25. So a bit of a slower start now for the offenses. William Powell had a big first half, 60 yards on the ground, including 17 yards for a touchdown that has kept Ottawa ahead. They're up 25-14 midway through the third quarter on Thursday Night Football. Couldn't ask for a better night to open things up for the Red Blacks. A beautiful evening here in the nation's capital, and Ottawa currently leading Saskatchewan by 11. Here in the third quarter at the play action fake, Trevor Harris looking for Greg Ellingson, who has been his favorite receiver by far tonight. Ellingson hauls that one in, his 8th catch of the night so far. A very busy man, and he has Ottawa in business up near midfield.
Terrific catch by Ellingson. Great awareness of where he is on the field without losing focus on the football. Let's take a look at his feet here. Doing a little tap dance to get the toes down as he falls out of bounds.
He remembered the playoff loss last year. He played despite hurting. Wasn't at 100%, he says, and had some regrets about that 31-20 victory by Saskatchewan as they moved on to the Eastern Final instead. 8 catches, 104 yards, so going over 100. He's been over 1,000. Ellingson has, as you look at William Powell on that carry for 5 yards, but came over from Hamilton 2015, 16, 17, over 1,000 yards all 3 seasons. A mark of consistency at receiver for the Ottawa REDBLACKS. I think there's a guy back in the studio that might know a thing or two about that as well. 2nd down and 5. And Burris to throw again. Wants it deep. Has it deep. Touchdown, Deontay Spencer.
You know who he got behind. I think there may be a little trash talk coming after this one. Got a step on Duron Carter, and it was one where Carter couldn't get his feet underneath him enough to time the jump, because that might have been within reach with that 6'5" frame. But Deontay Spencer gets behind him and hauls it in for the major.
I'll tell you, if those guys like to trash talk, they got a lot of trash talking to do right now on both sides of it. Earlier, it was the pick 6 by Duron Carter covering Spencer, and now this, answering back. An impressive night overall for Ottawa's offense as they roll along, and once again, they go for 2. Harris rolling out. He's got a lot of room to get in, and he does. Off the legs of Trevor Harris this time. 2 more on the board, expanding their lead to 19. Trevor Harris, 3 plays, 83 yards. There's the big one, 55 yards. Harris to Spencer. All REDBLACKS midway through the 3rd quarter. Deontay Spencer, and the touchdown as he got in behind Duron Carter, a 55-yard reception to pad Ottawa's lead now with a 2-point convert up to 19 points, 33-14. What can you say? That's kind of the look in his face right now.
We know Deontay Spencer is one of the fastest guys in the Canadian Football League. He demonstrated it on that last play.
Off the kickoff by Leone now. Getting more comfortable for Ottawa. Saskatchewan's got some work to do. Here's Christian Jones inside his 30 and gets across on a good return. The 35-yard line. Another look at what number 85 REDBLACKS just did.
And I know there had been a lot of talk about a Greg Ellingson matchup. Frankly, this is the matchup I expected to see. That's the spot where Deontay Spencer usually lines up. He's most often the boundary wide receiver. You're going to get those matchups. You didn't think Duron Carter was going to line up anywhere other than corner as a guy who doesn't usually play on defense. On this one, nothing fancy. Just a case of speed kills.
Trevor Harris now 20 for 29, 268 yards passing and the touchdown. Jerome Messam at a quiet first half. There's his biggest run of the night easily as it moves the chains right away. A first down up over the 45. Messam back in Ryder Green after a few years in Calgary and coming off his 3rd 1,000-yard season. He had 1 in 2015. Most of the yardage came with Saskatchewan before he was dealt to the Stampeders and ended up going to the Grey Cup. He doesn't have a very fond memory, I'm sure, of his last game in this stadium, does he? With the Stampeders losing to the Argos in Grey Cup 105 last November. New season, new team. Back with the Riders as Messam. Back with the football as Messam. And a few more yards. 2nd down.
And Messam part of a significant changing of the guard in Calgary after back-to-back Grey Cup losses. Of course, he and Charleston Hughes end up in green and white. Marquay McDaniel, another veteran, released from that squad.
There could be a significant change in that position. Marcus Thigpen serving 2-game suspension to start the season. You may recall a big run he had in the playoff game last year to open it up against the REDBLACKS for the touchdown Saskatchewan. Thigpen seeing that suspension over with after tonight, dumping it off to Spencer Moore. And not enough for first down yardage up closer to midfield.
And we find ourselves calling Josh Johnson's name, I think, for the first time tonight, the former BC Lion. Spent the last couple seasons in the National Football League. He comes up to make that tackle. Again, just great interchangeability amongst the parts of that Ottawa defense when you look at guys like Johnson, Rico Murray, Luchez Purifoy, Antoine Pruneau, guys who can play nickel, can play halfback, can play free safety.
They fake it. Faking the snap back, and an alert play on special teams for the Roughriders. Moore with it. And a direct snap to him, and he takes it across midfield for a first down. So a little special teams trickery pays off for the Saskatchewan Roughriders at a time when they certainly need it.
There you see their coordinator, Craig Dickinson, the man who put that one together. Nice execution there by the Roughriders. Redblacks caught sleeping a little bit in the area of the field where it shouldn't happen. 3rd and short, near midfield. That's a time where everybody should be in punt safe mode with the fake alert on.
Successful fake. Drive continues. Brandon Bridge on first down. And he wants Shaq Evans, and he's got him. And a good gain for the new Rider receiver who gets the start tonight because Duron Carter is playing on defense. And there's a big first down, Saskatchewan.
Yeah, Evans working on the outside. He's going to turn back for this football, and the ball is on the way. You watch the release of the football before he makes that break. It lands right in his hands. Nice shot from Bridge. Nice timing between these two guys.
Biggest completion for Brandon Bridge in this game of 24 yards to Shaq Evans. To the 26 of Ottawa. Saskatchewan football. End zone look for Caleb Hawley. Intercepted. 3rd interception of the night for the Ottawa REDBLACKS. And it is another new REDBLACK, Rico Murray, coming up with it. Caleb Hawley, one-on-one. Rico Murray has the ball. Another Rider drive is snuffed out.
Now there's Rico Murray, the man of the moment. He's a guy with happy memories of his last game on this field, a Grey Cup champion with the Toronto Argonauts a year ago. He's in at that halfback spot covering the slot, Hawley, and he is absolutely with him all the way. At no point was the receiver open. You know, your only chance on this one is to get that ball high and deep for a jump ball because Hawley has the height advantage, but thrown on that line, Murray is perfectly positioned to make a play.
In his 6th season in the CFL, most of it spent with the Hamilton Tiger Cats, went over to the Argos last year. Just 1 year, one very memorable one, as Dwayne alluded to, ending with the Grey Cup right here at TD Place, the victory over Calgary, and then moved on, signing with the REDBLACKS this year, and there's his biggest moment in this young season. Getting into the latter part of the 3rd quarter, he has a big interception in the end zone. What we say in pick 6 now. We've had a couple of those tonight. But we've also had a couple of Saskatchewan interceptions in the Ottawa end zone. Zach Caleros threw one of them. Brandon Bridge threw that one. Trevor Harris has been great since the pick 6 he threw to Duron Carter, a flag down after the reception by Greg Ellingson. Before that pass, since the pick 6 by Carter, Harris was 14 of 16 for 201 yards and a touchdown, and no more intercepted. Flag down there, and it's going against Ottawa.
Holding. Ottawa, number 88, 10-yard penalty. We're going to replay first down.
10 yards further back, and a 1st and 20 at about the Ottawa 15 now.
A tough one for Brad Sinopoli as you're trying to block in space on that hitch screen. It's one of the two receivers leading the way for Ellingson. 2nd and long. We'll see what the Riders pass rush can do here.
And just scoops it underneath. Little shovel pass to J.C. Beaulieu there, who gets up near the original line of scrimmage, so gets just about 10 back in that first down. It looks to be about 2nd and 10.
My apologies, down repeated. 1st and long. Nice job on the shovel to draw that pressure in from the ends and flip it the other way.
And speaking of that pressure by the Riders, it does bear repeating. At this point of the game, still no sack for Saskatchewan. Not getting the kind of pressure. A lot of pressure coming that time, but Harris does get it away. Not nearly enough for the first down, but buys them a little bit of space. And it's Deontay Spencer on the receiving end there, who just had the touchdown on the previous drive. But we were thinking in that game against the Argos last week, this new unit, which I'm sure will be heard from many times with Charleston Hughes added to it, got a lot of heat on Ricky Ray.
Yeah, they certainly did. And again, a lot of credit to Jamie Elizondo, Ottawa's offensive coordinator, for putting his guys in position to be successful. But credit the young guys, Corte and Evan Johnson, early in their careers making the start on that O-line. They've been solid.
Christian Jones takes a look there as he gets it up near the Saskatchewan 40-yard line. The most incredible season yet as Everyday Heroes take on the race. The Amazing Race Canada Heroes Edition. New season Tuesdays at 8, 9 Mountain. That starts July 3rd. And that's on CTV. Here on TSN. It's our second edition of Thursday Night Football presented by The Brick. And this new season, brand new season for the Red Blacks. This is opening night for them, and a good one too. They got a nice lead going, 33-14. Saskatchewan ball again after their last drive was nullified by an interception in the end zone by Rico Murray. A.C. Leonard in on the play there. Avery Ellis there. A.C. Leonard also on the name got called out on that defensive front for the Ottawa Red Blacks, and a former Saskatchewan Roughrider, a former offensive player that Chris Jones moved to defense, as he did with Ron Carter. Leonard became a very good defensive lineman with Saskatchewan, moved on to the Red Blacks this year. Not the first time Chris Jones has taken good offensive players and moved them to the other side of the ball. Brandon Bridge settles in and fires a strike there to Naaman Roosevelt, and a first down for Saskatchewan. So the offense is moving again. But as we get near the end of the third quarter, Riders, of course, down nearly 3 touchdowns, have to start cashing in.
And just the second catch of the night. One of the CFL's best in Naaman Roosevelt. And you see Saskatchewan offensive coordinator Steve McAdoo, together with Chris Jones, part of that coaching staff in Edmonton 3 years ago that beat Ottawa in the Grey Cup in Winnipeg 2015 before they moved on to Saskatchewan. As we get to zeros on the clock on that another first down, Saskatchewan on the move, but they have a lot of work to do in the fourth quarter.
Make the most on TSN. Music's playing, crank it to 10. These stars are falling like confetti, so wish on one. Singing long live the night.
Here are the numbers through 3 quarters. You can see it's Ottawa, domination emerging. But Dwayne, I think one number really stands out. The 3 turnovers, 3 interceptions, and they have all been quite costly to Saskatchewan.
Yeah, they really have. And I mean, you can call the 2 pick sixes, one each way. We'll call those a wash. But then you look back at 2 more interceptions thrown by Saskatchewan, both in the end zone. So situations where, you're presumably at least in field goal range, but also if you take care of that football, maybe having a shot to score a major. So the swing in this ball game really does hinge on the turnovers even more so than usual.
It happened to Zach Caleros in the first half. Lucius Purifoy got that one at the deflection. And then it happened in the third quarter. Brandon Bridge picked off by Rico Murray. And that was on the previous Saskatchewan possession. So they start in good field position here in Ottawa territory inside the 39, but needing to find the end zone. Field goals aren't a whole lot of good right now when you're down by 19 points. Still plenty of time, obviously, as they fake the handoff to Messam, and the completed pass there to Naaman Roosevelt, who had a quiet first half, and a couple more catches now in the second half from Brandon Bridge there.
You wonder a little bit as well, as we've seen some of this the pressure that the Saskatchewan quarterbacks have faced in this football game. We talked about the loss of Bakari Grant, and this is a guy, yeah, I think you can replace the 1,000 yards receiving, but one of the things that was often overlooked about Bakari Grant was he was so important in the protection schemes for Saskatchewan, did a lot of the blocking and so on, and as a veteran guy, a guy who could maybe decipher some of the different looks.
Jerome Messam on the carry on 2nd and short, and looks like he'll have a first down approaching the Ottawa 25. And granted, a pretty good game the last time the Riders were here in the playoffs. Had a touchdown catch from Kevin Glenn, but there have been changes and much talked about.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy who's a terrific football player, good leader, good teammate, all those things that you got to believe we'll see Bakari Grant turn up somewhere else before this 2018 season is too old.
Getting back closer to the red zone. Saskatchewan Roughriders. Bridge over the middle. It was caught. And then that receiver, Roosevelt, was hit a ton and coughed up the football. Would have been ridiculous to hang on to it on the kind of hit that he took right there. Antoine Pruneau, the Ottawa safety, laid a lick on Naaman Roosevelt. Goes to 2nd down.
Yeah, you're going to see Roosevelt kind of like heading into the Bermuda Triangle. Bunch of defenders converging on that football, and Pruneau lowers the boom.
Second down over the middle. Oh, so close to the end zone. And it's Williams Lambert who had a touchdown catch earlier in this game, looking for a call, but no, and the field goal unit will come on, trying to salvage something from this drive.
And the veteran, Javon Johnson, excuse me. Used to seeing Javon Johnson on the other side, but Josh Johnson, rather, veteran, former BC Lion.
Well, Javon used to be with Ottawa, one of his former teams a couple of years ago. Brett Lowther from 35 out and embracing his chance to kick in the Canadian Football League again. Does put 3 more on the board and knock it down to a 16-point Ottawa lead. Red Black still very much in control, and they'll go back on offense when we come back at Thursday Night Football.
Guys, you can see the Trevor Harris, Deontay Spencer Selly. I was told earlier in the week by Deontay that is their secret handshake. I'm not going to lie, he even showed me how to do it together. It was pretty hard. My dancing was appalling, but look for more Sellys. These two teams know how to throw down. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Brody. Brody Lost, another great addition to Thursday Night Football this year in TSN, and loved her work at CFL.ca, including, of course, the grind in the offseason and all the workout habits of CFL players, including Deontay Spencer. Dwayne and I are going to try that, by the way, up here, as long as there's no camera pointing. And right now, the camera's pointed down to the field where a red-black player has just taken off. J.C. Beaulieu down the field, and the flags come out.
Ottawa, number 46, a 5-yard penalty. It remains first down.
Now, I can speak on behalf of the fullback and tell you sometimes when you think you're getting an opportunity to run down the field, you think you might be getting the ball. Admittedly, you get a bit excited from time to time.
And he certainly looked like he was shot out of a cannon long before that ball was snapped. I could see that.
Oh, he was
get the big guys, the football. You got a chance, especially to be a receiver too, on the receiving end there. A guy who's a little more used to it. And Brad Sinopoli, who gets a first down before he is taken down. And a good gain, another one for Ottawa.
A bit of a bubble screen here. Sinopoli breaking from the tight formation to loop out. The wide guys block as they would on a typical hitch screen. A nice job getting it north-south for the Ottawa receiver.
Harris's numbers have been very impressive since one of his passes was intercepted for a touchdown by Deron Carter in the first half. Is this another completion? Oh, yes, it is. What a catch by Noel Thomas. First down, Ottawa inside the Rider 20. A 42-yard gain as Harris is padding his stats and putting on a brilliant passing performance since the pick six, as mentioned before.
Oh, Noel Thomas, that's not a bad way to make your debut. Highlight reel grab for the first-year receiver out of UConn.
12 straight completions now for Trevor Harris. Fourth quarter. Ottawa on the move. Derek Moncrief has William Powell wrapped up there for little to no gain on first down. Last time the Riders had the ball, they were able to cut 3 points off that Ottawa lead, but right now the Red Blacks are in position to, at the very least, go back up by 19. Second down at the Rider 19. Game 1, 2018 Red Blacks. Game 1 a year ago was here against Calgary. Another wild one ended in a tie, 31-31. They go to McMahon next week to take on the Stampeders. Harris, a little pump fake, and we got a flag down. It was Deron Carter in man coverage on Noel Thomas, who just made that big catch. And is it going against Carter? Or is it? They're chanting Carter.
Defensive pass interference. Saskatchewan number 89. A 10-yard penalty and an automatic first down.
So Deron Carter penalized there in the coverage, and Noel Thomas. His fans are starting to chant Deron's name, Carter, the way Rider fans were to Henry Burris last week when we were there. Henry loved it, though. Another play fake, dumping it off. Oh, Dominic Rhymes hangs onto the ball. He's hit hard there by Sam Aguavin, right down at the 10.
Fantastic hit by Aguavin. Glad to know that all the hitting isn't being removed from football.
This editorial comment brought to you by Dwayne Ford.
The views are my own and not those of my employer.
I know how you feel about that block back towards the end zone. We've seen that called a couple of times. Second down. Harris steps up. Incomplete. Another flag is down in the end zone.
Away from the ball.
Legal contact on receiver. Saskatchewan number 89. Half the distance to the goal line and a first down for Ottawa.
So Deron Carter flagged twice in this drive, and this one is given the Red Blacks a first and goal. And a chance to really put this game out of reach, up 33-17. Don't see that penalty called as much anymore, especially with the challenges for it being eliminated this year. End zone look, floating it up there for Rhymes. And it falls incomplete with Ed Gainey on the coverage.
And good coverage by the veteran Gainey on that one. And I like the move by Rhymes to try and sell. He knows the ball's a little short. He tries to sell that he's going deep and swim Gainey past him to try and get back to it.
First incompletion for Harris after 13 straight. But Ottawa's still in business here inside the 5 on second and goal. And they're up 16. Pressure's coming. He gets it away. It's a touchdown, Red Blacks. William Powell with his second of the night. The first came rushing. This one comes receiving. And Ottawa is starting to disappear here on their opening night at TD Place.
Going to see Powell come late across the formation. Into that cleared out flat for the score.
Point after, Lewis Ward, and through it goes. Say the Red Blacks starting to disappear, at least in the sights of the Riders on the scoreboard. With that, a huge lead of 40-17 now, midway through the fourth quarter of Thursday Night Football in Ottawa. In the first 8 games of last year, the Ottawa Red Blacks played nothing but tight games. They all came down to the wire. They all came down to the final possession. They lost most of them, starting the year at 1-6-1. You mentioned tying Calgary to start their season a year ago. Well, this one is not close at all right now. It is 40-17 in the Red Blacks' favor over the Saskatchewan Roughriders under 8 minutes to go. And all smiles, William Powell just got his second touchdown. Trey Mason is back for this kick, as is Christian Jones, who takes it at his 10. And gets it up across the 40. 7:50 on the clock. The latest touchdown by the Red Blacks.
And we take a look back at the Red Blacks' most recent touchdown drive. Brad Smokley got it started on that bubble screen to push the ball out around midfield. The big damage done by the bomb. Beautiful catch by the rookie, Noah Thomas. And William Powell, one of the stars of the night, caps it off with a receiving touchdown to go along with that rushing touchdown. You know, people talk about the need for Ottawa to find a way to win close games. Well, this is another solution.
Bridge feeling the heat and runs around and gets taken down back to about the line of scrimmage. Not much of a gain. Bridge coming into the game late first half when Zach Collaros was forced to leave and undergo concussion protocol at halftime, and he's done for the night.
And the challenge for Brandon Bridge in this Saskatchewan offense becomes even tougher when you've got a defense that knows, given the score and the remaining time, you have little choice but to try to get yardage in chunks, and that means putting the ball in the air. And the pass rushers just pin back those ears.
This is a follow-up to an 8-play, 75-yard touchdown drive by Ottawa, and that one falls incomplete, intended for Caleb Hawley. So the punting unit does come out, and what is turning into a miserable night for Chris Jones after such a good start last week at home against the Toronto Argonauts, the defending Grey Cup champions.
Again, tough situation for Saskatchewan, as we've talked about coming into this one. Short week, road game, taking on an opponent who's coming off a bye.
That end over end punt, patented by Josh Bartell and taken by Deontay Spencer, and goes back a little bit, closer to his own 30. Ottawa football on a big lead at 23 points. When we come back, Matthew Shinetti will have more on Trevor Harris, who is having a terrific night tonight after throwing an interception for a touchdown. We'll be back in Thursday Night Football.
Welcome back to TD Place, where Trevor Harris and the Ottawa Red Blacks and their offense is rolling. They're up 23 on the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And this past offseason, the Red Blacks offensive coordinator, Jamie Elizondo, put a challenge to Trevor Harris. He said, watch Drew Brees and watch him carefully. Watch that stance when he comes out of his drop back. Get a solid base. Make your feet wide, not only when you're moving through your reads, but so that you're stable going into your throws, so you can step into your throws. And the one thing that Trevor Harris did, as he's done with everything that Coach Elizondo has given him, he has obsessed over it. Watch Brees obsessively. As he told us yesterday, how can I not? Brees is one of the best, and I want to get there, guys.
Thank you, Matthew, and worked a lot on it in the off-season. Not something you can easily do, changing your mechanics, of course, closer to the season starting, but he's looked very sharp tonight. One play, notwithstanding. So is that guy, William Powell, on the ground with a couple of touchdowns on the ground in the air. Harris, 26 for 36 so far, 345 yards, 2 touchdowns. That one blemish, the Deron Carter interception for a touchdown.
Well, that interception almost seemed to serve as motivation for Trevor Harris, as he went on quite a roll after that.
William Powell, 15 carries, 73 yards and a touchdown. Also on the receiving end, he's caught a couple of passes, including that last one for another touchdown, and a 40-17 lead. Red Blacks in control, 5:26 in the fourth quarter. Handing off, Powell again, and pounds along on second down, but will not have enough, and punting unit will be out again for Ottawa. But the Riders are just running out of time, down 3 touchdowns. And they have the Alouettes next week. The Red Blacks go to McMahon Stadium to take on the Calgary Stampeders, who are in Toronto on Saturday in a Grey Cup rematch that you can see, of course, right here on TSN.
Red Blacks milking as much time as they can off that clock before snapping the ball.
Christian Jones taking it, getting up across his 40. Off the punt by Richie Leone. Thursday Night Football on TSN is presented by The Brick, saving you more. Last Thursday night's game, Mr. Ford knows well, along with Rod Black, calling that one last week in Winnipeg. It took, what, about 6 hours? 3 hours in delays before a nail-biter, Mike Riley and the Eskimos scoring that driving down, and they got that late field goal to win it. But a little bit of a different story weather-wise and game-wise tonight.
Yeah, certainly has been a little bit better flow without the weather-related interruptions.
A lot of big plays in the first half, especially. Brandon Bridge, Shaq Evans looking for more. Evans finally on the reception did get the first down before he's escorted out of bounds across midfield. Shaq Evans starting at wide receiver, with Deron Carter going to defense tonight out of UCLA, drafted by the New York Jets in 2014 in the 4th round, and went around the NFL a little bit. Bridge loses the handle on the football under pressure. The Red Blacks say they have it as they go to the bottom of the pile and try to sort this out, which could be yet another dagger for the Roughriders.
Well, Bridge looked almost as if he was maybe looking for someone to pitch it to.
Crowd reaction says it all. Ottawa football, another turnover for Saskatchewan.
Bridge goes down here. It looks almost as if he kind of peeks to his right. Maybe as he's trying to put that ball away. Saw the tackler bring the arms around and hit that football. Yeah, it's Avery Ellis, a guy who's been a monster. One of the leaders of this Ottawa D tonight.
He had a big sack earlier, and I wonder if the Red Blacks defense and defensive front took it to heart when a lot of the talk, understandably coming in, was all about Saskatchewan's defense.
I suspect both Ottawa fronts took it to heart. They've been terrific on both sides of the football tonight.
As mentioned before, for that offensive line and the scheme of the Red Blacks, no sacks by the Riders tonight after picking up 3 against the Argos last week. There's William Powell again on the move, cross midfield, first down Ottawa, as he keeps adding to his rushing totals on the night, getting closer to 100 yards.
I love the misdirection on this play. Receivers in motion across the formation, forcing that defense to widen out and loosen up a little bit. And William Powell, the beneficiary, another first down run for him.
Ball spotted at the 47 of Saskatchewan, and we're down under 3 minutes to go, and what is looking like a certain victory on opening night 2018 for the Ottawa Red Blacks. Up by 23, and with the football, and with William Powell continuing to grind it out. 3-4 more yards on the ground for Powell. 3-minute warning issued. All Red Black at TD Place. Let the Plaid celebrate tonight. Friday Night Football continues tomorrow night. The first game of a doubleheader from Montreal. The Blue Bombers taking on the Alouettes. The action gets underway at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, right across the TSN network and in 4K as well. Two teams that lost their openers last week. Winnipeg at home to Edmonton, Montreal on the road in BC. And by the way, the Eskimos and Ticats meet at Commonwealth later on in the night in the doubleheader of Friday Night Football. As this Thursday nighter winds down, all Ottawa, 2.5 minutes to play with the football, second down and about 6, and a 23-point lead over the Saskatchewan Roughriders, who are pretty well faced with falling to 1-1 now. William Powell, why not? Again, what a night he's had, although nothing doing that time around as he is taken down. But Powell's yardage up near 100. He had 18 carries for 93 yards and a touchdown on the ground, and one through the air as well before that carry.
Yeah, William Powell's been very good, and along with his performance goes that performance of the offensive line. I can't say enough. Missing two starters to plug in two young guys in Evan Johnson, making his first career start at tackle. Started some games at guard last year when John Dott was out. Mark Corte making his first ever start in his first ever professional game. And those guys acquitted themselves very, very well.
And you got Sir Vincent Rogers, probably most talked about at left tackle, former offensive lineman of the year. And then on the other side, John Gott at right guard now. Used to be their center for years. And now Alex Mateos, as of last year after Gott got hurt, took that role at center and will stay there. John Gott moving back to being a guard, and a flag down on that punt by the Red Blacks. Richie Leone.
The ball was in flight. Holding Saskatchewan number 51. First down Saskatchewan.
So the Riders are going to be faced with regrouping. They got the Alouettes coming up next week, and they're going to have a couple of games against the Hamilton Tiger Cats too. Their start to the season against Eastern teams is said they don't get a Western team until Calgary in week 7. There's a buy-in there too, but started with the Argos last week, Ottawa tonight, Montreal next week, and 2 with Hamilton with a buy in between, and that home and home with the Tiger Cats. Speaking of which, former Ticat quarterback Zach Collaros, a great debut, I would say, with Saskatchewan last week. Certainly a different story tonight for 2 reasons. Through a couple of interceptions, and also went through concussion protocol at the half, and was done at that point in time late in the first half. The score since the interception for a touchdown by Deron Carter that tied the game is 26-3 for Ottawa over Saskatchewan. Offense for the Riders really struggling tonight, and the flip side of that, Dwayne, Ottawa's defense doing a very good job this evening.
Yeah, they've been terrific. I think it starts with the guys up front. You know, Avery Ellis, to me, one of the in just his second year, has demonstrated that he's adapting very well to the teachings of new defensive coordinator Noel Thorpe.
Pressure on Bridge as he gets it away, and it is complete up there to Joshua Stanford. Up over the 25. Let go by the Riders last year, but welcome back, and
that connection's got some history to it, as Bridge and Stanford were high school teammates many years ago, St. Marcellinus High School in Mississauga.
A couple of Mississauga guys there combining. On first down. Just a minute and a half to go, and a flag down with the snap of the football. And a big carry here by Trey Mason, who's had a fairly quiet night, but gets it up over the 45, and a Red Blacks player is still slow to get up. Trey Mason, an interesting story, originally drafted in the NFL by the St. Louis Rams. In the SEC championship game against the Missouris with Auburn, 2013, had 46 carries for 304 yards. That's an SEC championship record, and 4 touchdowns in that as well, and looked to have a promising NFL career. Had some time with the Rams, and then that came to an end.
Seemed like a little bit of conflict ultimately led to his release there. But definitely an intriguing guy, an explosive football player, former SEC Offensive Player of the Year.
Winding down here in Thursday Night Football in the nation's capital. Mason gets it again in the draw and gets nothing. Knocked down there quite nicely by Avery Ellis, or is that A.C. Leonard who did that? The former Rough Rider in on that and tripping up Trey Mason on the tackle.
Leonard, 5 sacks as a member of the Saskatchewan Roughriders last year. And he and Ellis coming off the edges. Talked about Michael Wakefield on the inside, taking over that spot, had a big play early. Michael Clausen, Darryl Wadd, 2 Canadians as well in that, playing on the nose.
You saw Noel Thorpe there, of course, the longtime defensive coordinator of the Montreal Alouettes, and coming over to Ottawa this year. And as Mason on the carry again, another first down, but at a time when it really doesn't matter, only 44 seconds left. Noel Thorpe, I mean, he had some great defenses in Montreal, but was excited about the one word that kept coming up, the versatility he has with a lot of the, the players. I mean, we haven't talked about the man in the middle, the senior citizen Kyrie Zeber, on a defense that's played very well tonight. They were together in Montreal, but just a lot of guys that can move from playing Sam linebacker, or even in the case of Purifoy, can go out and play the corner as he has tonight.
Yeah, whether it's the nickel spot, free safety, halfback, whatever it may be, you rotate those guys around. And to have a guy in the middle coordinating at a veteran in Kai Hebert, who knows Noel Thorpe's system very well, knows his style of play. And a guy who, even at his advanced age by football standards, still brings a little bit of an edge to that defense. The last Renegade.
That's true, too. The Ottawa Renegades, who played from 2002 to 05, and there was only one left in the league still active that played for the Renegades. That was Kyrie Zeber, and lo and behold, he comes full circle and back to Ottawa late in his career, 37. He turns 38 years of age in October, and he is a physical specimen, isn't he? Kyrie Zeber, some years in Montreal, some very good ones. Played with Winnipeg, played with Hamilton too. And Ottawa Renegades. Says he still has an old Renegades jersey too. Seconds down on the clock on the third down, the keeper, but academic now. A first down for the Roughriders with maybe one more play in this ball game. Back in November, Saskatchewan came in here as the crossover team, and they won 31-20, and they went on to Toronto, and they nearly beat the Argos in the Eastern Final. Saskatchewan ended Ottawa's season 7 months ago. Ottawa begins a new season with revenge on the Riders. Dominant second-half performance in particular for the REDBLACKS, who rout the Roughriders 40-17. The Nissan Titan Player of the Game is brought to you by the Nissan Titan, official vehicle of the CFL. Dwayne?
Tonight's Nissan Titan Player of the Game. He's a guy who set the tone with the help of his offensive line. Made life a little easier for his quarterback and those receivers. William Powell with 19 carries, 94 yards, 1 touchdown on the ground. He added another one through the air. Honorable mentions to Trevor Harris, who had a terrific game. Avery Ellis, terrific on defense. But William Powell is tonight's Nissan Titan Player of the Game.
And I know it was scheme too, but can we put in a word for the offensive line of the Ottawa REDBLACKS too, as you talked about before, not giving up a sack to that Saskatchewan Roughriders front. And a solid game for Ottawa for the most part.